Question 1. In the context of XenApp farm scalability, Istacata manages a large farm distributed across multiple geographical sites. He notices significant replication latency between zones impacting application availability. What should Istacata do to minimize this latency and maintain zone efficiency? A. Increase the polling interval for zone data store replication to reduce overhead. B. Create additional zones to segment the farm more granularly and reduce replication scope. C. Consolidate zones to minimize the number of zone data stores to synchronize. D. Disable zone replication temporarily during peak hours to improve performance. Answer. Correct answer. B. Explanation. Creating additional zones segments the farm more granularly, reducing the replication scope and network latency during data store synchronization, thus improving availability. Increasing polling interval A. May delay replication and worsen latency. Consolidating zones C. Increases replication load and can worsen latency. Disabling replication D. Risks data inconsistency and is not best practice. Proper zone segmentation balances replication and responsiveness, aligning with Citrix recommendations for large distributed environments. Question 2. Given the circumstances that Isa Patel needs to enforce different policies on users connecting from multiple devices, which Citrix policy feature should she prioritize to ensure optimal user experience across all endpoints? A. Client IP address-based filtering to apply network-specific policies. B. User group membership filtering to tailor policies per department. C. Client device platform filtering to optimize HEX settings per device type. D. Session launch time filtering to apply time-based policy restrictions. Answer. Correct answer. C. Explanation. Client device platform filtering allows policies to be optimized specifically for the endpoint OS and capabilities, improving HDX performance and user experience. While IP filtering A is useful for network-specific policies, it doesn't adjust for device capabilities. User group filtering B targets user roles but not device optimization. Time filtering D controls access but experience quality. For multi-device environments, tailoring policies by platform ensures consistent performance. Question 3. When analyzing the farm security setup, Ista Lopez discovers that the AMAS service accounts have excessive permissions on SUL databases hosting the data store. What is the best practice Ista Lopez should implement regarding permissions for these service accounts? A. Grant only read permissions to the AMAS service accounts on the data store. B. Use SUL authentication instead of Windows authentication for better control. C. Assign least privilege rights necessary for the AMAS service to function properly. D. Provide full administrative rights to the service accounts to avoid replication issues. Answer. Correct answer. A. Explanation. AMAS service accounts require primarily read permissions to access the data store. Granting only read permissions reduces attack surface and limits damage from compromised accounts. Using SUL authentication B is less secure than Windows authentication. Least privilege C is correct in principle, but the AMAS service specifically needs read access for farm operations. Full admin rights D create unnecessary security risks and are not recommended. Question 4. Based on the information that a XenApp farm administrator wants to minimize printer driver conflicts, which universal printer driver UpD feature should she configure to reduce the need for multiple driver versions? A. Enable plugged compatibility mode for legacy printers. B. Restrict user printer creation permissions to prevent driver mismatches. C. Use client-side rendering to offload printing processing to the endpoint. D. Enable the UpD to replace all session printers with a single driver. Answer. Correct answer. D. Explanation. Enabling UpD to replace all session printers with a single universal driver reduces conflicts caused by multiple driver versions, improving stability. Compatibility mode A helps legacy printers but does not simplify driver management overall. Restricting permissions B controls user actions but doesn't directly resolve driver issues. Client-side rendering C impacts processing but not conflict resolution, but streamlines printing management. Core Citrix best practice. Question 5. From the perspective of load management, ISIS new and notices uneven load distribution despite having load evaluators configured. What advanced adjustments should she make to ensure balanced resource utilization across the farm? A. Disable load evaluators and rely on server availability only. B. Configure multiple load evaluators with weighted priorities per resource. C. Set the load evaluator to only consider EPU usage to simplify decisions. D. Increase the threshold values for all load evaluators to delay load balancing. Answer. Correct answer. A. Explanation. Disabling load evaluators and relying solely on server availability can cause uneven load and resource starvation. This is incorrect. The correct action to balance load is B. Configuring multiple load evaluators with weighted priorities allows precise control over which resource metrics influence load balancing. Considering only CPU. C. Oversimplifies and can neglect memory or user load. In thresholds, D delays balancing and may worsen load distribution. The right answer for balanced utilization is B. Question 6. Considering the evidence that a Citrix farm administrator needs to quickly identify the root cause of a mass service disruptions, which command line utility offers the most comprehensive diagnostic capability? A. DCheck TXE for data store consistency checks. B. XenApp parser for parsing event logs related to XenApp. C. ETM monitor for real-time session and service monitoring. D. DCheck for verifying data store and a mass service integrity. Answer. Correct answer. D. Explanation. DCheck is the primary utility used to verify the integrity and consistency of the data store and mass services. It checks for replication errors, data corruption, and service availability. DCheck EXCA is similar but less comprehensive than DCheck. XenApp parser B focuses on event logs and is less diagnostic for data store issues. EM monitor C is useful for session monitoring but not deep diagnostics. DCheck is a critical tool for troubleshooting XenApp farm health. Question 7. Under the assumption that ISLI must ensure session timeouts are enforced uniformly for security and resource optimization, what settings should she configure in XenApp? A. Session reliability timeout to disconnect idle sessions faster. B. Idle session timeout in Citrix policies to log off inactive users. C. Logon timeout settings to restrict total session duration. D. Connection timeout settings to drop sessions on network failures. Answer. Correct answer. B. Explanation. Idle session timeout policies specify how long an inactive session remains before the system logs off the user, optimizing resource use and security. Session reliability timeout 8 manages reconnection behavior, not idle logout. Logon timeout C. Limits session start duration, not inactivity. Connection timeout D. Affects network disconnects, not session duration. Idle timeout is the primary mechanism for consistent session management in XenApp. Question 8. While examining hotfix management processes, Mr. Garcia wants to ensure minimal downtime when applying critical patches farm-wide. What approach should he take? A. Apply hotfixes to all servers simultaneously during off hours. B. Use a staged rollout, applying hotfixes to a subset of servers first. C. Apply hotfixes only after full farm backup and rollback plan. D. Disable user access during patch installation to avoid conflicts. Answer. Correct answer. B. Explanation. A staged rollout mitigates risk by applying hotfixes to a subset of servers first, ensuring stability before farm-wide deployment. Applying simultaneously A risks full outage if problems occur, while backup and rollback C are essential. They do not reduce downtime by themselves. Disabling access D may reduce conflicts but is not a standalone strategy to minimize downtime. Staged rollout is best practice for patch management in production farms. Question 9. The fundamental question is, when optimizing HEX settings to improve multimedia playback quality over WAN, which configuration is most effective without sacrificing overall session responsiveness? A. Enable multimedia redirection for supported applications on the client. B. Increase session bandwidth limits globally in the farm policies. C. Disable HEX graphics acceleration to reduce server EPU load. D. Force all multimedia processing to the server to standardize quality. Answer. Correct answer. A. Explanation. Multimedia redirection sends media processing to the client device, reducing server load and improving playback quality over WAN by leveraging client resources, increasing bandwidth. B helps but does not optimize processing, disabling graphics acceleration. C harms performance, forcing processing on the server. D increases latency and reduces responsiveness. Multimedia redirection is a key practice in XenApp HES optimization. Question 10. Based on the information that Mr. Reynolds is troubleshooting slow user logons, which XenApp component should he investigate first to identify bottlenecks affecting the authentication and session launch? A. Web interface server performance and configuration. B. Data store replication latency between zones. C. Load evaluators on servers managing user sessions. D. A mass service synchronization status on delivery controllers. Answer. Correct answer, C. Explanation. Load evaluators determine which servers accept new sessions based on resource availability. Overloaded servers can cause slow logons. Web interface A impacts initial access but less on session launch speed. Data store latency. B affects farm-wide operations, not immediate logon. A mass service sync. D is important but usually does not cause slow logon directly. Checking load evaluators aligns with performance troubleshooting best practices. Question 11. From the perspective of maintaining data store health, Jensen wants to prevent data corruption during simultaneous administrator updates. What feature or practice should she implement? A. Enable data store transaction logging and restrict concurrent changes. B. Schedule administrative tasks during off-peak hours only. C. Use dcheck regularly to monitor for replication conflicts. D. Configure backup policies to restore quickly after hours. Answer. Correct answer, A. Explanation. Enabling data store transaction logging ensures consistency and integrity by recording and managing concurrent changes, preventing corruption. Scheduling. B. Helps but doesn't prevent corruption from concurrent edits. Dcheck. C. Detects issues but does not prevent them. Backups. D. Aid recovery by reactive. Transaction logging is proactive measure critical in multi-admin environments. Question 12. Under the assumption that Singh needs to reduce print server management overhead, which Citrix printing policy adjustment would best achieve this goal? A. Enable direct IP printing to bypass print servers. B. Use session printers with universal printer driver only. C. Restrict printing to client-side printers exclusively. D. Disable printer auto-creation for all users. Answer. Correct answer, D. Explanation. Disabling printer auto-creation stops automatic mapping of client printers, reducing print server load and complexity but may inconvenience users needing manual mapping. Direct IP printing. A. Removes print server dependency but can increase network traffic. Universal printer driver. B. Simplifies driver management but does not reduce server overhead alone, restricting client printers. C. Printing options but isn't practical broadly. Question 13. While examining the effectiveness of web interface customization, Alvarez wants to implement a feature that automatically redirects users to the closest data center. Which approach best supports this requirement? A. Configure web interface farms with server affinity settings. B. Use DNS round-robin with geolocation-based IP addresses. C. Enable zone preference policies in the XenApp farm. D. Customize web interface login scripts to redirect based on IP. Answer. Correct answer, B. Explanation. DNS sound robin combined with geolocation-based IPs directs users to the nearest data center by resolving to the closest web interface server, improving latency and experience. Server affinity. A. Helps session persistence but not initial redirection. Zone preference policies. C. Influence application launch location, not web interface redirection. Login scripts. D. Add complexity and available DNS-based geolocation is industry standard. Question 14. In the context of licensing compliance, Mr. Williams wants to ensure that the farm does not exceed purchased licenses during peak usage. What XenApp feature should he leverage? A. Configure license borrowing for offline access. B. Enable license tracking and alerts in the license administration console. C. Set maximum concurrent sessions per server via policies. D. Use load evaluators to limit user logons based on license availability. Answer. Correct answer. A. Explanation. License borrowing allows temporary use of licenses offline without breaching compliance during peak loads. License tracking. B. Helps monitor usage but does not prevent exceeding licenses, limiting sessions per server. C. Controls load but may not reflect license limits. Load evaluators. D. Manage load, not license enforcement. Borrowing is an essential feature to manage licensing flexibly. Question 15. Given the circumstances that Kim wants to improve user session reconnection times after network interruptions, what XenApp configuration should she adjust? A. Increase session reliability timeout values in Citrix policies. B. Enable connection leasing to allow session persistence. C. Configure ICA keep live intervals for faster detection. D. Use session prelaunch to establish sessions before user logon. Answer. Correct answer. D. Explanation. Session prelaunch establishes sessions before user logon, reducing reconnection delays after interruptions, increasing reliability timeouts. Say maintains sessions but doesn't speed reconnection. Connection leasing. B. Supports offline sessions but not reconnection speed. I could keep alive. C. Maintains session awareness but is not as impactful as prelaunch on reconnection. Prelaunch is an advanced optimization technique. Question 16. While managing server maintenance, Mr. Thompson needs to ensure data store integrity during the restoration of a backup. What critical step must he perform before restoring? A. Stop all XenApp services farm-wide to prevent data inconsistencies. B. Disable zone replication to avoid overwriting restored data. C. Notify all users to log off and disconnect sessions. D. Perform a full farm backup after restoration to update logs. Answer. Correct answer. C. Explanation. Ensuring all users log off and disconnect prevents changes during the restore process, avoiding data corruption. Stopping all services there is often unnecessary farm-wide. Disabling zone replication. B. Could cause data inconsistency if not managed carefully. Performing a backup after restore. D. Is good practice but secondary. User disconnection is essential prior to restore operations. Question 17. When faced with frequent session disconnects on specific servers, which monitoring tool should Davis use to pinpoint issues related to a mass service and session stability? A. Performance monitor to analyze CPU and memory usage. B. Event viewer with XenApp logs filtered by session ID. C. Citrix director for real-time session management and diagnostics. D. SUL profiler to monitor data store queries during sessions. Answer. Correct answer. B. Explanation. Event viewer with XenApp specific logs allows detailed tracking of session disconnect errors related to a map, service and infrastructure components. Performance monitor. A. Shows resource usage but not specific session failures. Citrix director. C. Offers real-time monitoring but less detailed logs. SUL profiler. D. Tracks data store queries but is less relevant for session disconnects. Event logs are primary troubleshooting sources. Question 18. With respect to delegated administration, Mr. Ibrahim must allow his helpdesk team to reset user passwords but not alter farm settings. Which delegation strategy is most appropriate? A. Assign helpdesk users to the built-in farm administrators group. B. Create a custom delegation role granting only user account management rights. C. Use Active Directory delegation and avoid Citrix-specific permissions. D. Grant read-only farm permissions combined with temporary escalation rights. Answer. Correct answer. A. Explanation. Assigning helpdesk users to farm administrators. A. Grants broad rights and violates least privilege. Active Directory delegation. C. Handles other accounts but not XenApp settings. Read-only with escalation. D. Is overly complex and risky. Creating a custom delegation role. B. Is ideal for limiting permissions precisely to user account management, preventing changes to farm settings and aligning with best practices. Question 19. In light of recent developments to optimize HES performance over constrained WAN links, Robinson is considering various settings. Which of the following configurations best balances bandwidth usage and user experience? A. Enable adaptive transport with default settings. B. Force all traffic over TCP to ensure reliability. C. Disable multimedia redirection to centralized processing. D. Increase frame rate settings to maximum for all sessions. Answer. Correct answer. C. Explanation. Disabling multimedia redirection forces centralized processing, which can improve bandwidth efficiency over constrained WAN by avoiding client processing variability. Adaptive transport optimizes transport, but default settings may not be sufficient. Forcing TCP/B can degrade performance due to protocol overhead. Increasing frame rate D increases bandwidth, worsening WAN constraints. Strategic multimedia processing is key to WAN optimization. Question 20. Taking into account a scenario where Ramirez notices frequent replication conflicts in the data store, what is the most effective method to resolve these conflicts without causing service interruption? A. Check to identify and automatically fix replication conflicts. B. Restart the AMA service on all servers to force synchronization. C. Manually edit the data store database to remove conflicting entries. D. Rebuild the entire farm to eliminate data inconsistencies. Answer. Correct answer. C. Explanation. Manually editing the data store databases, a last resort but precise method to resolve replication conflicts while keeping the farm operational. D. Check identifies conflicts but often requires manual intervention. Restarting AMAP services. B. Alone doesn't fix underlying data conflicts. Rebuilding the farm. D. Is drastic, causing significant downtime. Careful manual intervention minimum disruption and maintains integrity. Question 21. Under the assumption that Mr. Edwards wants to limit session launch failures caused by licensing constraints, which practice should he implement? A. Set concurrent user session limits per server based on license counts. B. Disable license borrowing to prevent overuse. C. Use license administration console to monitor and alert on usage. D. Remove unused license types to simplify license management. Answer. Correct answer. A. Explanation. Setting session limits per server aligned with license counts helps prevent session launch failures by ensuring the farm does not exceed license availability. Disabling borrowing. B. Reduces flexibility. Monitoring. C. Alerts but doesn't prevent failures. Removing license types. D. Simplifies management but doesn't directly impact launch failures. Proactive session limiting enforces licensing compliance. Question 22. With respect to configuring zones, Foster wants to optimize communication latency between servers. What design principle should she prioritize? A. Place all servers in a single zone to minimize replication traffic. B. Create zones based on geographical proximity to reduce latency. C. Use zones to separate servers by function rather than location. D. Assign servers to zones dynamically based on load. Answer. Correct answer. B. Explanation. Creating zones geographically reduces replication latency by localizing traffic within zones, improving farm responsiveness. A single zone. A. Increases replication load over WAN links. Separating by function. C. Does not address latency. Dynamic zone assignment. D. Isn't supported. Zones are static. Geographical zone design is core Citrix scalability best practice. Question 23. In light of recent developments, Mr. Simmons is tasked with configuring print driver management to minimize conflicts while supporting legacy printers. Which option best balances compatibility and management ease? A. Deploy the universal printer driver exclusively for all printers. B. Use a combination of universal printer driver and native drivers selectively. C. Restrict printing to network printers with native drivers only. D. Allow clients to install any required printer drivers locally. Answer. Correct answer. B. Explanation. Using a mix of up to for most printers and native drivers for legacy devices provides compatibility and reduces conflicts. Exclusively, it may lack full functionality for legacy devices. Restricting to native drivers. C. Increases management overhead. Allowing clients to install drivers. D. Risks version mismatches and conflicts. Hybrid deployment is best practice, balancing support and simplicity. Question 24. Given the circumstances where Isa Patel needs to audit farm configuration changes over time, which feature should she enable to achieve comprehensive tracking? A. Configuration logging to record changes in farm settings. B. A mass service verbose logging for detailed system messages. C. SQL Server auditing on the data store database. D. Windows event log monitoring for Citrix services. Answer. Correct answer. A. Explanation. Configuration logging is specifically designed to track administrative changes to farm settings, providing an audit trail. A verbose logging. B. Is for troubleshooting, not configuration auditing. SQL auditing. C. Tracks database changes, but not necessarily farm config semantics. Event logs. D. Provide general info, but lack detailed config change records. Configuration logging is the standard tool for auditing. Question 25. While optimizing HES policies, Istacata needs to reduce bandwidth usage without sacrificing application responsiveness. Which policy adjustment should he prioritize? A. Enable client-side caching to reduce repeated data transfers. B. Increase image quality settings to improve user experience. C. Disable audio redirection to save bandwidth. D. Force all sessions to use a transport exclusively. Answer. Correct answer. D. Explanation. Using up transport improves responsiveness and bandwidth efficiency by reducing overhead and packet retransmissions. Client-side caching A helps but is less impactful for dynamic content. Increasing image quality B increases bandwidth. Disabling audio C saves bandwidth but impacts experience. YIPI transporters, a key feature for optimizing HDS performance over WAN. Question 26. Based on the information that is Evans must delegate application publishing rights to a junior admin without exposing server-wide permissions. What is the best method? A. Assign the junior admin to the local administrators group on all servers. B. Use Citrix delegated administration to grant application publishing permissions only. C. Grant full farm administrative rights temporarily during publishing tasks. D. Use Active Directory groups to manage permissions without Citrix roles. Answer. Correct answer. B. Explanation. Citrix delegated administration allows precise assignment of permissions, limiting junior admins to application publishing without broader server or farm control. Local administrators A. Grants excessive permissions, temporary full rights. C. Risks misconfiguration. Add groups alone. D. Don't control XenApp specific tasks. Delegated administration aligns with least privilege and operational security best practices. Question 27. For the purpose of improving session reliability, Mr. Johnson wants to configure XenApp to maintain sessions despite brief network interruptions. Which setting is essential for this? A. Session reliability feature enabled in Citrix policies. B. Session prelaunch configured for all users. C. Client drive mapping disabled to reduce network dependency. D. Maximum session timeout increased to extend disconnection tolerance. Answer. Correct answer. A. Explanation. Session reliability keeps sessions active and visible during short network interruptions, improving user experience. Session prelaunch B. Reduces log-on time but does not maintain disconnected sessions. Disabling drive mapping C. Does not affect session persistence, increasing timeout. D. Delays disconnection but doesn't preserve session state during network loss. Session reliability is the key feature. Question 20. Throughout the course of monitoring, Wright observes that certain servers frequently report mass service failures. What is the most direct approach to diagnosing and resolving this issue? A. Restart the servers to clear temporary errors. B. Review event viewer logs focused on mass service errors. C. Reinstall XenApp components on the affected servers. D. Increase the server hardware resources to reduce load. Answer. Correct answer. C. Explanation. Reinstalling XenApp components can fix corrupted or misconfigured mass services causing failures. Restarting A is temporary and may not resolve root causes. Reviewing logs B is diagnostic but does not resolve issues directly. Increasing hardware D helps performance but not necessarily a map. Service stability. Reinstallation addresses software level faults explicitly. Question 29. Through the lens of XenApp architecture, Mr. Evans is tasked with improving farm responsiveness but observes that the independent management architecture (IMA) service on multiple servers is frequently restarting, causing intermittent session issues. What should Mr. Evans investigate first to address this instability? A. Review data store replication status and correct any conflicts. B. Upgrade the web interface servers to the latest version. C. Increase the polling interval for IMA data synchronization. D. Adjust Citrix policies to limit user session duration. Answer. Correct answer. A. Explanation. The AMAT service is the backbone of the XenApp Farms management architecture, responsible for communication between servers and the data store. Frequent restarts typically indicate underlying replication or data consistency issues in the data store. Reviewing the replication status is critical to identify and resolve conflicts or corruption causing service instability. Upgrading web interface servers B and POP. Adjustments D do not directly address AMA service crashes. Increasing polling interval C may reduce synchronization frequency but won't resolve core data replication errors. Hence, data store integrity and replication health are fundamental to stable AMA operations, reflecting core XenApp farm design principles. Question 30. When evaluating farm scalability, is Turner plans to segment the XenApp farm across several zones to optimize performance and fault tolerance. What is the primary advantage of creating multiple zones within is XenApp farm? A. It reduces the administrative overhead by consolidating all configurations. B. It localizes data store traffic and replication, improving logon and application launch times. C. It allows each zone to operate independently with separate data stores. D. It enables separate licensing servers to manage zone-specific licenses. Answer. Correct answer. B. Explanation. Zones in XenApp farms are designed to optimize scalability by localizing replication traffic and resource access within geographical or network boundaries. By segmenting the farm, data store synchronization is more efficient because replication occurs primarily between zone data stores, reducing network latency and improving user experience, particularly during logon and application launch. Zones consolidate administration. Instead, they distribute it. All zones share the same centralized data store C, and licensing remains farm-wide, not zone-specific. D. Understanding zone benefits is essential for managing large, distributed environments.